Every single week, over 1 billion people open a text box, type out a rough thought, and ask a large language model to fix it. We approach these models as highly advanced spell checkers. We ask them to clean up our grammar, professionalize our emails, or tighten our prose, expecting the core ideas to remain entirely our own. But a language model is a statistical engine. When we treat it as a neutral instrument, we assume our underlying thought survives the optimization process unharmed. A massive new study from researchers at DeepMind, Berkeley, and the University of Washington has tested that assumption. By tracking how humans write with and without these models, they found that handing your words to an AI systematically shifts your arguments. It alters the intended meaning of your text and smooths away your unique perspective. Writing is the process of clarifying human thought. We have to look at the data and ask, what happens to our thinking when an algorithm holds the pen? To see this in action, the researchers set up a controlled study. They tasked 100 participants with writing an argumentative essay. Half were given access to a large language model. The other half wrote entirely on their own. The people who relied heavily on the AI saw a 70% increase in essays that remained completely neutral. Instead of taking a stance, the writing hedged, hovering safely in the middle ground. When interviewed afterward, these heavy AI users reported feeling disconnected from their work. The final drafts felt significantly less creative and no longer sounded like their own voice. This chart shows exactly how the AI replaced that human voice. Compared to the dark gray human baseline, the purple and green AI-influenced essays spike in their reliance on expert opinion and statistical arguments, abandoning personal conviction for clinical data. At the individual level, the algorithm acts as a heavy moderating force, discouraging users from taking a front stand. It effectively flattens human conviction into agreeable summaries. You might think the solution is simply to write the draft yourself and only use the AI for light copy editing. The researchers tested that too, using a 2021 dataset of human essays and expert feedback. They used a technique called PCA semantic shift. Think of this as a map that plots the physical distance between different concepts. If an edit changes the meaning of a sentence, its dot moves across the map. This graph maps semantic shift. In the human baseline, short arrows point in diverse directions, preserving original meanings. But look at Claude, Gemini, and GPT-5 Mini. Even given minimal edit instructions, every model drags the essays in massive parallel lines to the exact same region. This violin plot shows the linguistic mechanics of that shift. To push all those ideas into the same space, the models artificially inject a high volume of analytic words and double the emotional sentiment to make the text feel universally convincing. The data shows that LLMs do not preserve human diversity. They actively drag our individual thoughts into a uniform algorithmic space of conformity. That conformity is already bleeding into high-stakes environments. We can see it in the peer review process at the 2026 International Conference on Learning Representations, a major venue for evaluating new, complex science. Researchers discovered that 21% of the peer reviews evaluating the cutting-edge science at this conference were generated or heavily edited by an AI. These models actively rewrote the conference's grading rubric. Instead of prioritizing human values like clarity or the significance of a discovery, the AI-generated reviews fixated on machine-friendly metrics like scalability and reproducibility. Because of this shift in focus, the AI-generated reviews assigned scores that were, on average, a full point higher than the human baseline. By substituting human values for algorithmic priorities, these models have already begun to reshape how our scientific institutions define truth and progress. The researchers point to a specific capability deficiency. Current language models are simply incapable of assisting with your writing without changing your meaning. Because these systems are trained on massive scales of human feedback, designed to be as broadly agreeable as possible, by leaning on them, it creates a cultural lock-in. They reinforce their own specific statistical priors over our individual logic. When we offshore our writing to an AI, we are subtly offshoring our political discourse, our literature, and our institutional decision-making to an algorithmic mono-voice. The next time you prompt an AI to make this sound better, remember the cost. You are trading your original logical path for a pre-calculated statistical one, letting the algorithm rewrite your mind alongside your prose. If you want to understand the code, the data, and the technology actively reshaping our world, check out the Learn by Doing with Steven YouTube channel. For on-the-go deep dives into these topics, the Steven Data Talk podcast is available now on Spotify and YouTube Music. All links are in the description. Thank you for watching, and always keep questioning the data.